All right, buckle up, everybody. We're diving deep into the world where data gets its popcorn fix. 2025 box office predictions.
Yeah, we're talking about those forecasts, those crystal ball gazers trying to see which movies are going to rake it in 2 years from now.
Yeah.
And, it's not just some random guesses. There's a whole lot of, science and analysis behind it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a whole blend of looking at past trends and crunching numbers and even checking out the buzz around upcoming movies.
Hmm.
It's like a detective story, but with data,
Yeah.
trying to predict what audiences will be craving a couple years down the line.
Okay, so we're putting on our detective hats then, and we've got this list of anticipated films all categorized by how they're expected to perform at the box office. We've got the major releases and all the way down to the ones that might, have a bit more of a modest opening. And you know me, I always have a soft spot for those potential underdogs.
Oh, definitely get to those. But first, got to talk about the heavy hitters. The film's expected to, just dominate the box office in 2025. And, no surprise here, Avatar. Fire and Ash is leading the charge. James Cameron, he's back. The first two Avatar movies, box office titans, right?
Yeah.
So the anticipation for this third one is, off the charts. Plus, we've got the return of familiar faces, Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver. Oh, even Kate Winslet joining the party this time around.
Yeah, Cameron is known for really pushing the boundaries when it comes to visual effects and storytelling. So it's pretty safe to say Avatar 3 is going to be a visual spectacle. And with those big names, that huge fan base, it's pretty much a guaranteed box office smash.
All right, so from the visually stunning world of Pandora, let's jump to something a bit lighter. Zootopia 2. Who doesn't love talking animals, right? And they're solving mysteries. I'm ready for Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde to be back in action. Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman, they're just fantastic.
Yeah, the first Zootopia was a surprise hit for sure, cleverly blending humor with some social commentary. It'll be interesting to see how they keep that balance going in the sequel while still giving us that charm and wit that everyone loved.
And, speaking of sequels, can't forget about Jurassic World Rebirth. This one's got a brand new cast, Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali. Talk about a power duo. And the premise, securing genetic material from giant dinosaurs. Sign me up.
Oh, yeah, the casting of Johansson and Ali, it makes you think that maybe the tone of the franchise is going to shift a little bit. They're both known for their dramatic range, so maybe this Jurassic World is aiming for something a bit more mature, more of a character-driven story.
Ooh, interesting. A Jurassic World film with some Oscar aspirations. Okay, now I'm even more intrigued. And we can't forget, the musical fans out there, Wicked Part 2 is hitting the big screen, wrapping up the story of those Witches of Oz. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are back, belting out those iconic songs, bringing this Broadway adaptation to its grand finale.
Yeah, musicals are definitely having a moment right now, and Wicked, with its massive fan base, it's in a prime position to ride that wave. Splitting the story into two parts was a smart move, I think, gives them more space to explore the characters and that whole plot, especially for a story like this, so complex.
All right, so we've got these major releases, and now we're moving on to the ones predicted to be strong contenders. The 2025 box office is shaping up to be a real battle royale, and leading this cock is Captain America. Brave New World. Sam Wilson keeps going on his journey as Captain America, and Harrison Ford is joining the MCU. That is what you call star power.
Oh, yeah, adding Harrison Ford, that's a strategic move for sure. It brings that gravitas, that sense of legacy to the whole MCU. It's a way to connect this new chapter of Captain America to the larger Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And, attract a whole new audience, too.
And when it comes to drawing in a crowd, few can do it like Tom Cruise. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, promising more of those absolutely insane stunts that the franchise is known for.
Yeah, Cruise's commitment to doing those practical stunts is legendary, and it's a huge selling point for those Mission Impossible films. People, they crave that authenticity, that feeling that what they're seeing on screen is real and, incredibly dangerous.
It's that edge-of-your-seat thrill that keeps people coming back for more. And speaking of thrills, of a different kind, we've got Minecraft hitting the big screen. Jason Momoa leading the cast in a film based on one of the most popular video games ever, I'm really curious to see how they bring that blocky, pixelated world to life on the big screen.
Yeah, video game adaptations, they've got a mixed track record, but Minecraft's open world, that could actually work really well for a movie adventure. And with Momoa's star power, the fact that it's family-friendly, it could definitely be a box office hit.
From video games to comic book legends, we've got Fantastic Four, First Steps. This is the highly anticipated arrival of Marvel's first family into the MCU. Casting details are still under wraps, but the buzz around this one is palpable.
Oh yeah, the Fantastic Four, they're iconic, and their intro to the MCU, that's a major event. Fans are dying to see how they'll fit into the story that's already there and what kind of tone this movie will set for future Fantastic Four films.
It's all about that anticipation, building up that interconnected universe. And speaking of expanding universes, we have a fresh take on Superman coming our way. Directed by James Gunn, new vision, new direction. Exciting to see what they do with this classic character.
Yeah, superhero reboots, they're always a bit tricky. You want to honor what came before, but you also have to bring something new to the table, something innovative. Gunn's got his own style, that blend of humor and action. This Superman film, it could really be a game changer.
From Krypton to, well, the world of assassins, we've got, from the world of John Wick, Ballerina making its entrance, Ana de Armas as a ballerina assassin out for revenge, count me in. Plus, we've got Keanu Reeves and Ian McShane popping up, keeping the spin-off firmly in the John Wick universe.
This is a perfect example of how these franchises can, branch out and explore different parts of the worlds they've built. Ballerina assassins, I mean, it's a fresh concept, building on the action and the whole mythology of those John Wick films, but still offering something unique, something you don't quite expect.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from those major releases to the strong contenders all vying for box office glory. But stick around. Our journey through the 2025 movie landscape isn't over yet. Up next, we're going deeper into the films projected to have more moderate and modest openings. And trust me, there are some real gems hidden in there.
It's kind of like those films that fly under the radar, Sometimes they end up being the most surprising, those hidden gems.
Oh, for sure. Give me a unique story, a fresh perspective over a big, predictable blockbuster any day. What do we got first?
Well, we've got a sequel that might grab you. The Accountant 2, Ben Affleck's back as Christian Wolf. The autistic savant who also happens to be a, highly skilled assassin.
Okay, yeah. I'm on board with that. The first Accountant film, it was a hit. I mean, nobody really saw that coming. It had that good mix of action and suspense. And it was also a unique character study. Kind of curious to see where they go with this sequel.
And they've got John Bernthal back, too, which, adds another layer to the whole dynamic. Feels like they're really trying to build on what worked in the original, while also, going deeper with those character relationships.
Speaking of going deeper, we're going into some serious post-apocalyptic territory with 28 years later. This is the third film. It's exploring the long-term effects of that whole rage virus outbreak. And they've got a cast, Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and Ralph Fiennes. Looks like they're not messing around.
Yeah, the 28 years later films, they've always gotten praise for how gritty and real they feel, and that social commentary, they don't shy away from that. Exploring what happens after that outbreak 28 years later lets them look at those themes of survival, how society rebuilds itself, and those lasting scars, that trauma.
It's always fascinated me how those post-apocalyptic stories can be like a mirror, reflecting our anxieties and fears. Okay, from a ravaged Earth, let's blast off into space with Mickey 17. Sci-fi film, directed by Bong Joon-ho. I mean, the guy's a visionary.
Yeah. Bong Joon-ho, the mastermind behind Parasite, with him at the helm, we know we're getting something visually stunning and thematically, rich and layered. And get this, the premise. Robert Pattinson playing this expendable human sent on a colonization mission. Oh, and throw in Steven Yeun, Naomi Ackie, and Toni Collette, too. I mean, that's a recipe for cinematic gold right there.
Okay, you've convinced me. I am totally there for that. I'm a sucker for mind-bending sci-fi and a good ensemble cast. All right, now let's talk about something a little more, unsettling. M3GN 2.0, back to haunt our nightmares, and Allison Williams is back too. The first film, it really tapped into those anxieties we all have about AI going wrong, and I have a feeling this sequel is going to go even deeper.
Oh, yeah. The fact that the first M3GN was so successful, I mean, that says a lot about how fascinated we are with AI, but also that unease, This sequel has the potential to explore how our relationship with technology is changing, those ethical dilemmas, especially as AI gets more sophisticated. It's a cautionary tale, but disguised as a horror film.
It's interesting how horror can do that, reflect our deepest fears about the future.
Yeah.
Okay, now for a film that's taking us back to, fire-breathing beasts, a live-action How to Train Your Dragon, I'm curious to see how they bring Hiccup and Toothless to life in a whole new way.
Nostalgia is powerful. And bringing these beloved animated films to live action, that can be a winning formula, It's a way to bring back those fans who love the original while also introducing a whole new generation to these characters and stories. And visually, I mean, it has the potential to be stunning.
From dragons to, space again, Pixar's taken us on a trip with Elio. It's a unique story, an 11-year-old who becomes Earth's ambassador to the universe.
Yeah. Pixar does this thing where they take these seemingly simple concepts and turn them into these heartwarming stories that really make you think, With Elio, they can explore themes like childhood wonder, first contact with aliens, that whole vastness of the universe, you know?
It sounds like that perfect blend of adventure and humor with those signature Pixar feels.
Yeah.
Speaking of feels, Disney's doing it again, tapping into our love for classic stories with live-action remakes of Snow White and Lilo and Stitch. I'm always a bit cautious about reboots, but I am curious to see how they update these stories for today's audiences.
Reboots are always a gamble, but they can also be a chance to introduce these classic characters and stories to a new generation, you know? And the casting, Rachel Zegler as Snow White and Gal Gadot as the Evil Queen, that tells you they're aiming for something visually striking, something that'll really capture people.
Okay, from fairy tales to, fast cars, F1, starring Brad Pitt as a veteran driver trying to make a comeback. I can practically hear the engines roaring already.
Those sports films, they often tap into these universal themes: determination, overcoming adversity, that whole pursuit of excellence. And with Brad Pitt, well, that's going to bring in audiences who might not even be racing fans.
It's a story about second chances, about chasing your dreams no matter what. From the racetrack to the digital frontier, Tron. Ayers is plugging us back into the grid. Jared Leto's taking the lead role. And I'm really interested to see how they build on the visual effects and the world they created in those earlier Tron films.
Sci-fi sequels, they often have this chance to build on the technology that's already there, explore new parts of the universe they've already built. And Leto, he really goes all in with his role, so this Tron sequel, it could be really captivating visually.
So as we're wrapping up this look at the moderate and modest performers, I'm just struck by how much variety there is and how much potential for surprises. It's a reminder that box office projections, they don't tell the whole story. Sometimes the most rewarding film experiences come from the most unexpected places.
Exactly. And it really shows how filmmaking is evolving. There's this willingness to experiment with different genres, tell different kinds of stories, and embrace new talent alongside those big stars.
It's a great time to be a movie lover. There's something for everyone hitting the big screen. But wait, our journey through the 2025 box office isn't quite over. In our final segment, we're going to zoom out, take a broader look at the trends and themes we're seeing in this cinematic landscape. All right, so we've gone through this whole list of upcoming films, the blockbusters that are going to shatter records and those hidden gems that might just sneak up and blow us away. But now let's take a step back, look at the bigger picture. What trends and themes are you seeing in this 2025 movie lineup?
Well, one of the things that really jumps out at me is the sheer, variety, all these different genres and ways of telling stories. We've got massive sci-fi spectacles and then these really intimate character dramas, animated adventures, gritty horror flicks. Studios are definitely trying to cater to, different tastes, different audiences.
It's like a movie buffet, something for everyone. But even with all that variety, I've noticed a lot of focus on established franchises, intellectual property, sequels, reboots, adaptations. They seem to be everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it shows how the industry is a little, risk averse. Familiar properties, they feel safe, especially when the box office is still kind of recovering from, the pandemic. But it's not just about playing it safe. It's also about tapping into that nostalgia factor.
Oh, yeah. Nostalgia's huge.
Yeah.
People love those comfort watches, movies that take them back to their childhood, remind them of characters and stories they love. And studios are smart. They know how to use that.
But it's not all about looking back. We're also seeing studios put money into original ideas, new voices, especially in animation and sci-fi. Like Pixar's Elio and Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17, they're pushing the boundaries of storytelling, the visual effects. They're offering audiences something truly unique, something to think about.
Those are the films that really get me excited, the ones that take risks, challenge what we expect. And it's great to see studios taking a chance on those filmmakers, those visionaries, and stories that don't fit into a neat little box.
For sure. And it's those films that often become the most memorable, the ones that stick with us, the ones people keep talking about.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the 2025 box office predictions, what's your main takeaway for our listeners? What should they keep in mind as they, navigate this movie landscape?
I think the most important thing is to stay open-minded, embrace all that variety. Don't be afraid to try something new, explore different genres, give those lesser-known films a shot. You might just find your new favorite movie,
Well said. I mean, that's what's so great about movies. They can take us to different worlds, make us feel all these different emotions, challenge how we see things. So let's all go out there and explore all the amazing films that 2025 has in store for us.
And remember, those box office predictions, they're just one piece of the puzzle. The real success of a film is about how it connects with people, how it makes them feel, if it starts conversations, if it leaves a mark.
That's the perfect way to end this. So until our next deep dive, happy watching, everyone.